Alright guys, give me just a second. This is going to be a really quick stream today to cover Palantir, Tesla, and a few others. Grab this list real quick from over in the lounge, and I'll touch base on it. Alright. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to start with Palantir. So, normally I would not hold through earnings just on stocks in general. Y'all have heard me talk a lot lately about trading earnings, how to trade earnings. Just to be clear on Palantir, I was not trading this as an earnings trade whatsoever. That was not my intent. I traded Palantir based off of understanding of the company as well as the technicals that were in play. And then also the fact that on all my longer term swing calls, I've already covered my cost basis on those. So I basically was riding runners at this point. I still have my shareholdings, which my entry price on my shareholdings I think was at like $17 or something. Yeah, $17.11 is when I entered my shares on Palantir. I still haven't sold covered calls on it yet. It hasn't made sense. I'm going to consider it if we see a rejection. So real quick on Palantir, let's talk about what we see here. So big gap up with earnings last night, right? We gapped up heavily. You can see this is actually the levels I had marked as of close yesterday before we ever got the gap up. And it's similar to what we saw when we saw the previous bullish megaphone pattern breakout, as well as what happened here was another bull flag. So the bull flag formed. This green level you see here is actually the measured move of the bull flag breakout. Oh look, SMCI has bombed again. I just saw the alert. So we're going to switch over and look at SMCI next, because I know that that is several people's favorite ticker. And I've tried to warn people over on Facebook. See, yet again, here we are. And I hate this because I wish people would kind of learn, or at least listen. It's not being bearish to kind of warn people to not chase stuff like this, because a lot of those people that are telling you to buy the dip, are people that bought way up here and are just, you know, being hopeful, but also not being realistic that this thing bounces back. So SMCI has got fraud situation going on. Their auditor basically quit because of uncertainty and concerns about things that were found. They're basically at risk of being delisted at this point if they don't update and provide a plan for coming back to compliance by November 20th. So same thing I've mentioned multiple times to people, and I really wish people would just stay the hell out of it for earnings, is SMCI. We see here bear flag, breakdown, bear flag, breakdown, bear flag, breakdown, bear flag, breakdown, right? Over and over and over again. I'm going to remove these minor support and resistance levels here to make it cleaner, but the most recent bear flag breakdown that we had was this one here. The measured move for that was at 24 level. And look, with this news and after hours with earnings, it has now cracked yet again another bear flag breakdown if we look at it on the 1 hour. So if it confirms a break below this 24.31 level, technically taken, if you want to do it measured move wise, you could do this. It's like a 45% drop, right? But I'm always conservative with this. So the next key support level you even have on SMCI on this thing is like 913. So if this thing drops right now and confirms this break, that support, you're looking at potentially a move down to this level, which sounds crazy considering the stock was pre-split at $1,200 plus earlier this year. But this is a prime example of why you don't just buy the dip on stocks because it's dipping. You need to make logical decisions on why, and just because semiconductors like NVDA have ran doesn't mean that all semiconductors are going to. This company likely gets delisted in the coming weeks or months, so just I personally won't touch it. Puts or calls, doesn't matter. Just hasn't made sense for me here. We scalped some puts where it made sense in the past, but I'm not touching anything on it right here. I'll keep trying to warn people to steer clear of it, but I really wish people would stop throwing their money in this, because it's going to be like another Vinco Ventures nonsense type situation where people basically donate all their money to people that are selling the premiums. But anyways, we looked at Palantir, we looked at that. Let's look at Tesla real quick, because I'm loving it. My covered calls are still up nicely. I was talking to Bima over on the Discord earlier today because dude jumped in some calls on the dip and bounce yesterday on support, which was a great trade. I loved it. Told him it'd be a good idea probably. I usually won't tell people to buy or sell, and I wasn't doing that here. Just to be clear, for me, I warned him I would be careful about holding overnight with the election because ultimately I think Tesla ends up seeing a similar sell the news situation depending on how the election turns out. A lot of people have been expecting that it's going to rip to the moon because if Trump gets elected and Elon and his relationship with him, but that's not necessarily the case. Just like any other Tesla related news, be careful. We still have this gap here lingering at 218.72, and sorry for all the lines. I traded on multiple time horizons and time frames, so that's why there's a lot going on there. What I'm ultimately looking at here, sorry, get all this stuff out of the way. We broke down after the rejection. Yeah, sure, it tried to poke its head above this downtrend here, but you can't take that as a basis to go long on Tesla. Prime example of why you don't do that, all this crap right here, and right here, and over here. Technically right there, same exact setup, right? See the wick? See the similarity? People went long calls right there and then got demolished. So, like, just be careful on Tesla here. I'm still in my covered calls for December 20th, 240 and 250 strike. I'm up pretty significantly on those at this point. I could have bought to close. I chose not to because I'm still seeing weakness here. As well as over on the options flows for the whales. I'm not seeing buying to close by the larger funds yet. If I see buying to close as we push up in here on those larger funds, on the unusual whale flows, I'll consider buying to close mine. As of right now, I'm not really concerned. Honestly, even with the way Theta Decay and IV Crush has hit them at this point, it could pump back to the 263, 264 level here, and I would still be up on my covered call position. So that's kind of the beauty of selling covered calls that are within 45-day expirations, is it actually works much more in your favor as an option seller, where even though I sold them up in this price range, they'll be worth less than what I sold them for when we get back up there, because Theta Decay has been slamming against them for the last 2 weeks. So what do I see on Tesla likely happening here? Tesla likely will head down to either one, fill, or test, let's start this first. First, it's either going to test this trend line more than likely, or it's going to proceed to fill this gap at 218.72 is likely what Tesla does here. We'll see if it can maintain and hold these levels and maybe consolidate more. If it pushes back up, then I might consider buying to close if I see some momentum. This isn't a true reversal yet on Tesla, even though I know a lot of people would try to call that a reversal. That's not supporting a full reversal yet, especially with that volume lacking. I think a lot of the movement that you saw upside today was just hype with the election and Elon. So, watching those levels on Tesla, if I zoom out and look at the 1 week chart, same thing, right? We have our lower high yet again, and this thing might drop hard. If this trend right here breaks, it's probably going to get kind of brutal on Tesla, so just be careful. Trade it both ways if you want, but don't get stuck in a mindset and being stuck on something. So, that being said, got Tesla, we covered Palantir. Look at Apple real quick, because there's a few different setups going on with Apple, and I know the election ultimately is going to have impacts on lots of things, so be careful trading heavy. Like I've told several people that trade based off alerts on a few of the Discords I'm in. I've been mainly sticking with scalp trades and shorter term lotto trades that are cheap. I haven't entered any new long-term swing trades the last 2 days because I want to wait till after the election. So I even left a couple of my Palantir longer term swing calls today. Those things hit 1,400% gain. So that's like one of my favorite long term swing calls I've done this year. I guess technically it was last year because I bought them last December, but I rode the thing up the wave. I'll talk through Palantir, I guess, in a separate video just to make it real specific and to help things out. But anyways, what we have here on Apple, right? So we broke the trend. What we've now formed over here, even though we have these 3 green candles, which is kind of concerning. The fact that these are actually 3 green candles back to back to back like that and makes me concerned about a downside break. You have a bear flag here following a break of this actual longer term uptrend that we ran. So You want to be careful here. We look like we're consolidating in the zone. You can see this is a bear flagpole, and this is the bear flag, which likely will either flag or it'll turn to a bearish pennant. Following this, that's your bearish continuation trend. So you want to be careful here. We see a solid bounce with momentum and volume to the upside. Maybe it pushes higher. That being said, as of right now, that bear flag's measured move is this 207 level based off that pole. So I'm watching this. I'm in a few cheap lotto puts just in case it does break down. If I see reversal, I might scalp to the upside, but as of right now, I'm watching for that to see what happens. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Look real quick at a few others like Meta, and I'll show you why I traded what I traded earlier today on this. So Meta, I jumped in and scalped some puts earlier today off a trade setup, but same thing you've got going on here. Although my measured move to the upside on Meta is up here at 700, right? If it loses this uptrend that it's currently trying to hold, which it also has a bear flag going on right here, and don't take this as me being a bear. I'm trading and looking at both setups that are respected on the chart, and that's how you protect yourself as well as how you're not a biased trader. So I'd like to see whether it holds this current uptrend here. If it can hold that uptrend, we might have some bullish continuation to the upside. If it doesn't, if it breaks down and rejects here, especially if it loses this actual uptrend as well as that support, the short-term move is going to be right down here to 527 level. So you can see we've got a demand zone going on right here in that range. That used to be the resistance, so we'll see if that move plays out, but that also happens to be the confluence level between that support and that trend of this longer term uptrend it's in. Sorry, trying to drag it over for you. But yeah, you can see the longer term uptrend lines here, right? So, sorry, going through this fast just because trying to get in there. I think the family is waiting on me. So, watching that on Meta, I took a lotto put on it, just left a runner since I covered my cost basis. I'm going to see what happens. If it holds the trend and bounces, great. Depending on how the election turns out, Meta may get a dive. That's not, someone joked earlier on the Discord about that being a gamble statement, but really it's more so knowing the historicals between Zuckerberg and Trump up until a couple of weeks ago when he actually semi-said something positive about Zuckerberg. But the two just don't like each other, and then you've got the Truth Social aspect combined with Meta, so we'll see what happens as a result of the election, regardless of the outcome. Watching this setup on Meta. What other tickers did we have that people need me to touch on really quick? So we did Tesla, we did Apple, Meta. Is there any others right here in the lounge? Palantir, yeah, we covered that. Yeah, so semiconductors, right? So same thing that we've been talking about with NVDA and several others. Ooh, news just came out that Bezos sold a bunch of his shares again. Awesome. I want to look at Amazon real quick now. Yeah, so someone was asking me earlier today if we saw a rejection at 200, if that was a good put entry again, and I told them if we see a confirmation on the 15-minute candles that maybe. I've been trading very lightly and very careful about swing trades just with the election. If we do confirm a rejection here and invalidate this bull flag type setup we have going on, this thing may actually tank again like we saw here, which it left this gap down at 172.11. So if we do have a rejection off that range, then yeah, we're likely going to head on down to that sub 176 range to test this trend line again. So curious to see how this shakes out, because that's one of those ones that can move big. Let's see real quick, semiconductors. If we look at NVIDIA, so NVIDIA had a short-term head and shoulder setup we were watching earlier today on it, which it's still intact. Let me move this over so we can see it cleaner. Again, trading, oops, didn't mean to move the whole thing. We're trading both sides of the setup. You can see that my bullish target for the upside on the measured move for NVIDIA is actually up here at this 175 range. That is contingent on it being able to hold this uptrend for one. And sorry again, this is one that we trade multiple time frames when we trade it up and down. I'd like to see it hold the uptrend. Sorry, trying to jump over here real quick. So this current uptrend it's in, I'd like to see it hold and respect that. That being said, it does have a head and shoulders pattern here that we're keeping a close eye on because the measured move for that head and shoulders breakdown. I'm not sure why this is here. I guess I accidentally shifted that too a second ago, but more than likely, I'm conservative with my measured moves on stuff like this, so more than likely if we see a head and shoulders breakdown, which would mean a loss of the neckline support on this, which is probably around that 133 range, or even more conservatively 130.98. From there, the measured move is probably going to be, that's a break of this trend, so it's probably going to be this confluence level between that downtrend, which will act as maybe the backtest level for NVIDIA here, as well as the uptrend that you can see here on the larger time frame across right there. So the confluence level there actually puts NVIDIA around the 122 mark, and that just happens to be about what the measured move is based off of a head and shoulders breakdown here. So that's super conservative. Really, I could put it down here if I wanted to. I want to be really conservative, I could say this, right? But again, watching this really carefully, see what happens. Semiconductors and chips, depending on the election outcome with tariffs, we might see some really wacky stuff go on. I know that we saw NVIDIA diverted their SMCI orders elsewhere, which was yet another red flag for those people chasing bullish momentum on SMCI. But that being said, watching this, because you got NVIDIA and this setup, right? You've got SMH, which is one of the key ETFs I watch for semiconductor movement, that has this massive head and shoulders going on with it. So even though I know that there's been lots of hype around AI, you want to be careful right now with semiconductors, because a lot of these things have very bullish setups going on, which, to be fair, some of that stuff's the election, but I'm watching very carefully because that's concerning. You also have, sorry, I can't type, this that I tried to warn people about recently when we were up here for various reasons, and those of you that are in the discords, whether it's bullish rate or ethical trading with me, you know why I was warning about this without sharing any details. But we ended up hitting this big gap down. If it consolidates here, that's potentially going to form a bear flag. Right now it's trying to hold this range, which you can see was actually the previous resistance turned support. So look out in this range for a hold as demand zone. That would be good. That being said, I would be careful on outlook for this in the coming months into 2025 for various reasons. Quick look on AMD. So same thing over here. And this is exactly why you saw me alert and get into some very, very small positions on some 2025 cheap calls on AMD, because we weren't sure if this was going to hold. So that's why I highly recommend to people take small positions until you have confirmation on larger time frames. It tanked off earnings and now it's back in this downtrend channel. It's also lost this uptrend. So sorry, I'm getting like tons of spam calls, which I assume is people trying to get me to go vote, which I already did this morning. But at any rate, we'll see what AMD does here. Same thing as the other semiconductor stocks. It likely is going to see some more downside movement if things get rocky with tariffs. Let's see, Bitcoin, real quick, because crypto stocks were rocking today. We made bank on riot calls. People freak out on these pullbacks, and I'm like, guys, this is a really healthy movement on Bitcoin actually to do that retracement. So bull flag breakout, retracement, test of support range. Now yet another breakout of this current downtrend, right? So I'm still looking at this. Bitcoin is very much still respecting this huge bull flag setup here, and likely is going to rock up towards 100K level in the coming months, especially into 2025, especially depending on how the election plays out. Another key one I'm watching here is Solana. That's not the ones I want. when you're looking at any of the cryptos here, you have to actually go to the exchange that you're wanting to look at on, because the cryptos you're seeing the trading volume on that specific exchange. If you're still hanging in, hit the like and subscribe button so that it helps with the things that I can offer to people on YouTube. But yeah, Solana, this is one of my favorite projects as of right now heading into 2025 for crypto. You can see we've got this massive bull flag setup going on. I love the technology behind Solana. Also, this inverse head and shoulders breakout that it started its continuation movement on. Now we're back testing that range, which is great. So I'll be looking for a breakout to the upside here. The measured move on Solana, if it breaks out to the upside, is going to be massive. So if you actually look back here at the historical, it's not unrealistic at all, coming off this cup and handle and that bull flag, to rip past 250 on Solana. So this is why I'm long on quite a bit of Solana and will continue to be so. I'm loving this setup right now. There's lots of other crypto projects that are good too, but this is definitely my top go-to right now. I'm probably going to add to my position pretty significantly with one of my bonus components here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I'll look at Google real quick for you, Analyzer. Probably do one or two more and then I got to bail. So Google, yeah, sorry, there's tons of levels because we were scalping the crap out of Google last week. Let me do this. Let me delete all these minor levels of support and resistance for you. And then we'll look at it clean. I can add on back if we end up scalping it again, but as of right now, y'all know 167's kind of been that key level that I've been watching on Google. So it had this inverse head and shoulders that it attempted, and it played out majority of that move perfectly. I'm watching here though for yet another bear flag to form, similar to what we saw over here multiple times. If it cracks that key 167 level again, look for a gap fill down at the 158.25 level, and then potentially move down to fill that gap at 143.59. So all it takes is one antitrust lawsuit somewhere globally for Google to get smacked again. So I've been careful about upside trades on Google. But Google, over 1 million shares, that was me. Yeah, I knew it. You're a baller. I knew that you were trading those large shares, dude. It says Tesla's running. Let's go check out Tesla. Where is it running? Tesla's running, dude. It's not even its high day yet. What are you talking about? Is there some new news, I guess, that came out related to Tesla? I'm assuming with the election and everything. So yeah, I'm watching all the setups on it. Like I said, I'll exit my covered calls. I know there's an inverse head and shoulders right here. Longer term, I want to see a push above 300 to break out of the actual downtrend since all-time highs. That'd be great. Most of y'all know I'm at the 1,000 share mark now on Tesla, so looking for upside to continuation and breakout would be beautiful. If it's not, I'll make more money in the meantime on covered calls and I'll keep rolling with it. But until we get a breakout above that range, and especially above 299, Tesla's still in the downtrend. And be careful because the whales and the larger funds have still been steady selling calls into the props. So watch out for that. One final thing, just in case there are any other tickers. If there's not, that's fine too. But one final thing to be careful of now is the implied volatility is so spiked on so many options right now with the election that it won't be a shocker if you see tons of contracts on both sides just completely wrecked tomorrow and Thursday. So keep that in mind, which that's why I've been careful about swinging any options right now. It's not just on the ETFs, it's across many tickers, but the implied move with the election on a lot of things is huge. So I've been super careful about it. You can look on some of the... why is it not popping up? Is it because I'm on a different browser? But expected. There we go. So Options AI, this is a good website that I use for implied moves for earnings, but you can probably see the implied move right now for some of the ETFs is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, tomorrow should be fun. I'm here for it, dude. You know I thrive on some volatility, so bring it on. But yeah, there's literally a freaking implied move of 2% already baked into a lot of the options for the coming days. on QQQ, which is huge overall. Even though I know that we've had some intraday moves that big many times on QQQ over the last year, that is not the norm and shouldn't be the expectation for ETF. So that's a very wide range of movement. IV of like 38, 30, all that seems like it's low, but that's actually like, this is a big movement range. You're talking about $20 movement on QQQ, so this thing could swing hard either way. Be careful. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'll keep watching tomorrow. Definitely we'll get in some scalp and day trades if the IV crush happens on some or not some earnings, but with some contracts. I'm looking forward to it. Also really looking forward to phasing back into some longer term swing options, especially on some crypto tickers for next year. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for today. If there's any tickers y'all want me to look at tomorrow, let me know. If you want me to do a specific, 2 to 5 minute video over a specific ticker like Tesla, NVDA, or Bitcoin or something specifically, let me know and I'd be happy to do some shorter videos like that instead of just these longer ones. But can't do anything without feedback. So again, give it a like and subscribe if you like the info, if you found it helpful, and I will start doing more of those. Everyone have a great night. Good luck with all the chaos.